Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the latest episode of What We Do in the Shadows on the Run. And I really enjoyed this one. It was interesting how they did Laszlo's story in this one. I really like that we're getting just kind of like whole little stories with certain characters and that they are so effectively utilizing the other ones inside of them as well. Because it's a hard balancing act to do that. But this was just a funny, Laszlo-centric episode that was just really kind of great. So we start off on a good one where we're like, oh, okay, one's right here, as they're like calling over Guillermo to mark these things out. It's like, what are they doing? It's like, yes, well, we killed so many people that we gotta mark the spots where we buried them. Nandor thinks he's winning, and then we cut to the day previously, and Guillermo's just talking to the camera and everything. And then a delivery man is walking over and falls into a sinkhole, sees a body, and is shouting like, what the fuck? And I just love that we've gotten to a point in television where the fuck isn't even bleeped out, and I'm just like, yes. And so they're doing this so that way they can spot the sinkholes and everything. While they're in the process of doing this, a mysterious vampire shows up, and Guillermo's like ready to fucking take on out because he had like thrown a dagger at Laszlo's lantern. He's like, okay, what the hell's going on? And he's like, I'm not here for you, Nandor. I'm not here for you, Nadja. And Colin Rose is like, what about me? If you're planning on killing me, I have to go. And he's like, no, I'm not coming here for you. He's like, it's me. And it's Mark Hamill as a vampire, and it's fucking amazing. I was like, at first I was like, who the hell is that? And then I looked it up, and I'm like, yes! Luke Skywalker and the Joker being a vampire in this show? Fuck yes. And he had come because we learned that Laszlo had rented out a place in California. Ironically enough, he was trying to go make a deal with the devil at a crossroads to get better at playing a guitar, but not just like, isn't that Mississippi? Yes, I was misinformed on that. I'm like, sweet Jesus. And it's been like 167 years, and he's coming after Laszlo because he didn't pay the last month's rent or the security deposit. Laszlo's defense was that he went to the bathroom and somebody left a floater, and that should absolve him from paying a month's rent and the security deposit. And in order to do, Nandor and everybody pushed him to just pay the dude off. And he's like, nope, let's duel this shit. And they're getting ready. Nandor, of course, since he's usually the battle dude, is the one presiding over the whole fucking duel. He's like, alright, 10 paces, getting ready to do it. Fucking Laszlo books it. He evidently is set up for this kind of scenario where he goes to a motel where he's hid all this stuff. And evidently his go-to as a human disguise is a toothpick and some blue jeans. He then writes a farewell letter to Nadja that he'll never see her again, and goes off. We transition, and he is now in Pennsylvania, because it sounds like Transylvania, and that's cool. And I'm like, go for it, man. Use that logic. Alright. And he evidently killed this bar owner and is Jackie Daytona, and he's having a blast being a bartender, dude. He thought he was doing a good thing by beating up some bikers, but they're like the charity bikers doing like Toys for Tots and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, we do all this kind of stuff, and this dude came out of nowhere and beat the shit out of us. He's like, yeah, you better watch it. Stick a boot up your ass. And that is just like the main kind of core of Laszlo, as he is a selfish, kind of vain, self-centered dickweed. But there are points where he tries to help people, and I like that they do that and balance it out. Because we see he gets really invested in this volleyball team and helping them out and everything. Now, granted, I don't know exactly if he's like affecting them with magic or anything, but he's like really cheering them on and everything. And we see as it goes on that they have won enough games to qualify for state, but they don't have enough money for the tournament fee, so they're not going to be going. This, of course, pisses Laszlo off. He breaks a mug and everything and just, like, kind of storms out, but then he's kind of thinking what's going on, and one of the people, Lucy, who's working at the bars, of course, singing and everything, like, he's like, hey, you're pretty good at that. You're damn good at that. Let's do this. And he decides to come up with a talent show thing, charge people, and use that money to help them get into the state game. And I'm like, wow, that's actually not a horrible idea. And if you can do this for people that you don't even you just met. Could you not do this to pay off the dude? Which, by the way, Mark Hamill's vampire pops back in, has a kind of tense standoff with him, but we find out that he really does not see that he is not a human. Says, alright, if you know anything about this, like, weird dude, just give me a call. Because he's looking for someone. And he's like, okay, Jim the Vampire. He's like, how'd you know my name? It's on your business card. I love that his character's name is Jim the Vampire. He has a business card that has that printed on it, and it's just fucking great. It's just like, oh, yes, silly me. And they're both, of course, trying to play the human route as they're, like, throwing beers behind their backs and shit like that. So, we see that also part of it is that Laszlo also has a truck. This comes important, well, not important, but a nice joke later on. I love the tying together of certain things and the escalation of jokes. They really got it fine-tuned. I really liked how they did it in the first season, and they just continue on getting better as this one's going on. So, as he's in the process of doing that, we also cut back to our group at Staten Island, and we see that the three vampires are playing cards, but Nadja is distraught and everything. Colin goes to kind of comfort her, and we're just like, whatever. Because Guillaume was like, I could fill in. He's like, no, you can't. So we see that, like, we at first think he's trying to, like, comfort her, and then he goes in for, like, a kiss, and we see, I love seeing Nadja's doll in the background being like, what the fuck's going on here? And as he's trying to go in to kiss her, she's like, no. And I love that we cut over and we see Colin's like, I wasn't trying to do any kind of move. It was part of his thing of, like, absorbing the energy, pretty much like a Thanksgiving feast. And I'm just like, thank you. I mean, granted, it would be interesting that, like, Colin would have feeling for Nadja, but it really just fits into his character that he saw an opportunity for one hell of an energy drain feast and fucking went for it. And then, it's even funnier because he goes and he's like, yeah, I was trying to go in with a kiss with the doll and got shut down. That one kind of hurt. And I'm just like, damn! So we get back to Laszlo's portion of the story. He's got everybody together. They've got all of the things. We see him pretty much, he had done flyers and everything, using his powers to get people to come and all that and take the flyers. And everybody's all happy and all that. We see Jim the Vampire come back in and he orders a human martini and everything. He's like, yeah, this is really kind of cool that this happened and everything. I really feel for the team. He's like, yeah, I kind of want to put my money in, even though I'm poor and all that. And then, of course, Laszlo accidentally takes out the toothpick, and that sets it off to him recognizing. And I just love the fact that he has the shittiest disguise, and that it really fooled Jim the Vampire until he took the toothpick out. And that Laszlo has been using this damn disguise for centuries, as we saw that, and I'm just like, oh god. So we essentially get into a vampire fight in the middle of a bar, and it was pretty cool. I like how the effects work in this show, because, granted, they don't use them very often, but when they do, they use them effectively, as we see them, like, bashing each other, taking out a table, Laszlo using a cue ball to beam him on the head, and then we're just like, oh, pretty much saying something about fire. It's like, what do you mean fire? And then Laszlo spits fire, but the thing is, it lights something else on fire, and the money, and everybody's just like, no, the money, oh shit, and then it's really kind of crazy, because you think, oh god, Vampire Smackdown, but they then try and stop the fire on the money, because they're like, no, they've worked so hard, and that immediately puts a kibosh on their fight. And we see Laszlo go behind the bar, and he's trying to use the water thing to put the water out, but it doesn't reach, and I'm like, yeah, that kind of really fits for you, Laszlo, right now. And so they're just like, yeah, I'm sorry. And he's like, wait a minute, what's this thing? And he's going along the lines of a mechanical Turk with the bass thing, and Laszlo plays it off as a one-of-a-kind thing, and Jim the Vampire is very smitten with it, and that is what they use to call the dead off. And then he tries to wake up the chick, is like talking to her about it and everything, and he's like, hey, I'm a vampire and all that kind of stuff, and then she's like, ugh. And just passed. I was like, alright, fine. Tries to go out, tries to drive the car, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're, his truck. I'm like, your cover's already blown. Why don't you bat out? And he just fucking accidentally rams it into the thing. He's like, I've never even driven before. Whatever. Bats out. Goes back home. Comes in. Nadja's like, oh, my husband. Glad you're back and everything. And Nandor's going, he's like, hey, I'm back. Anything else? He's like, yes. I said, welcome back. You were gone for like a week. Fucking guy. Walks up. Nandor's reaction. I'm like, yes. And I just love how he works on that. I'm like, alright, cool. So they're getting back. We see that he continues the Jackie Daytona persona to spice up the bedroom between him and Nadja, and we see that the doll is watching as well. Then we see some other things that occur with what was going on in the Pennsylvania town that he went on. So, in order to make sure that everything worked out right, he went back to the bar, burnt it down for the insurance money, and gave it so that way the volleyball team could go to state. Unfortunately, there was also an employee still in there, so he had to burn down another house to get that money to pay for that person's funeral. I kind of love the fact that Laszlo really doesn't have any qualms about murdering people, but if he accidentally murders someone, he feels obligated to help that person out. And I'm just like, it's an interesting character kind of trait with that. It's like, okay, I will murder people to live and drink blood and be a vampire. But if I accidentally kill someone or do something bad, I do feel like I need to make amends for that. That's an interesting and complex character. So we also see that he had also put in a good word for someone, and we see that Jim the Vampire has now been kind of made a coach for the volleyball team. And he's carrying around that goddamn singing mask. He gets a little bit carried away and breaks it, and he's freaking out, but the coach chick's like, wait a minute. You can buy that at any store. Don't worry about it. This, of course, resets the feud between him and Laszlo. And I hope we see that again someday. Because, granted, I don't need it completely pulled out like every episode. Just every once in a while, Jim the Vampire pops up and kind of goes to Laszlo's shit for not paying him the thing. Would just be fucking funny and work out pretty well. So, that's pretty much where it comes to an end. And I'm just like, yes, this was really good. We got an in-depth kind of look at Laszlo and being like, yeah, when things get tough and he's pushed into a corner, he will fucking run and, like, get his way out. But even if that kind of fails, he does have some fighting skills that he can utilize. But if something bigger kind of comes along, he will put aside those things. Hopefully his opponent will as well, and try and work out a kind of compromise. Now, granted, he did try and pull a fast one out on Jim. So we'll have to see how Jim kind of returns the favor later on. So I just really enjoyed where this episode went and found it pretty damn funny, and I can't wait to see what other shenanigans our group gets into. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.